Welcome to Data Analysis Scholarship Program. This is cohort 3 of Data Analysis. Today we are starting cohort 3 of Data Analysis Scholarship Program. We will be looking at introduction to data analysis. What is data analysis? What are the types of data analysis? What are the importance of data analysis? And then we take it up to Excel beginners aspect, and then furthermore we move on. In this scholarship program, we will be focusing on Microsoft Excel, one of the highly used software in data analysis. Welcome everyone to tonight's section. I'm glad to have us in this section this night. Very much glad. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. This is Data Analysis Scholarship Cohort 3, the introduction class for this particular cohort. Welcome everyone, good to have us. Let me know in the chat, drop in the live chat if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. Let me know if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. Much appreciated. Drop in the chat if you can hear me, if you can see my screen. Welcome to Data Analysis Scholarship course. I need to see us on the live chat. And if you are just joining, this is Data Analysis Scholarship Program Cohort 3. And those of us on the live, let's quickly, as our tradition has always been from cohort 1 to cohort 2, let's quickly head over to the scholarship group, cohort 3 scholarship group, and type "we are live." Those of us I'm seeing on this live section this night, let's rush to the cohort 3 WhatsApp group. Type "we are live." I want us to do that within a minute, because we don't have much time to waste this night. We don't have much time to waste. Let everyone gather here. I want us to rush to the scholarship group. Tag "we are live." Type there "we are live." Join now. Just type there "we are live." Join now. I want us to do that. I want us to do that quickly. And as well, also, if you are with me here, drop your name, your location, and your scholarship ID. Your name, your location, and your scholarship ID. That will be our first attendance this night. In our section, we will be having 2 to 3 attendance. 2 to 3 attendance. We will be taking 2 to 3 attendance. The first attendance tonight is what I'm taking now. The second attendance will be taken later today in this course. So let me know your name, your scholarship ID, and your location where you are joining from this night. Your name, your scholarship ID, your location. Let's do that as well. Welcome once again. Tag everyone in the scholarship group. Let them know we are live. Go to the WhatsApp scholarship and type "we are live." Join now. I want every one of us to do that. I want every one of us to do that. And let's get it done. If you have done that, type in the live chat "done." And at the same time, if you are here, you are not yet subscribed to the channel, kindly do that so that you can interact with us live. You can ask your question live, and then you can mark your attendance as well, especially those of us in the scholarship cohort 3. Especially those of us in the scholarship cohort 3. Let's do that immediately, please. If you are yet to subscribe, you do so to hit the subscribe button. And at the same time, the next thing we are going to do now before we start, I want each and every one of us to hit the like button on this live session. That way it helps the channel. Let's do that immediately. I'm seeing 21 person on the live call, and I want us to go ahead and hit the like button. Drop your name, your location, and the scholarship ID. That's very important. Your name, your location, and scholarship ID. If you are based in Osun, Ife, in Lagos, in in Kaduna, in Imo State, anywhere, just drop the state of your location or the city of your location. Beautiful Nawa, beautiful. Okay, Precious Osun State, beautiful. I'm getting to see us. All right, without further ado, let's quickly get into what we have this night, baby, because we will be introducing data analysis and then start tonight with Excel basics. And start tonight with Excel basics. All right, beautiful. What was Michael? Lagos, good to have you all here. All right. Okay. Welcome once again to Data Analysis Scholarship Cohort 3. We proceed. Welcome to Data Analysis Scholarship Training. Tonight we are looking at Introduction to Data Analysis, Excel Beginners. This scholarship is brought to you or powered or handled by Soluma Institute of Tech and Management, where we train individuals, students, professionals, institutions on tech and managerial skills. Tech skills like software development, UI, UX, data analysis, such as the one you are having now, web development, cards, managerial skills like human resources management, project management, customer relationships, strategic management, health and safety. These are many more that we cover in the Institute. And tonight, I'm your facilitator, Mr. Franklin, a seasoned data analyst and a management consultant. I'm a tech and management consultant with minimum of 7 years experience in the field. I have worked both within the state and outside, and I have participated in diverse projects. That is the man that is taking you this night. Some of you might have met me before, some have not met me physically. If you haven't met me before, you are hearing my voice this night. One thing we promise in this section this night is that it's going to, not just only this night, as we progress, it's going to be an awesome journey. At the end of this scholarship program, you will beat your chest and call yourself a full data analyst, provided you follow us judiciously. If you don't slag along the way, if you don't slag along the way, if you don't sub-pedal along the way, if you don't, how will I put it, draw back along the way, by the end of 6 weeks, you are going to become a data analyst, not just by certificate, but by practical experience, by doing, by portfolio. Why am I saying that? Most persons that know me, see me physically, will know that I preach effectively to learn first and then certificate to back it up. If you don't know how to analyze, then your certificate as a data analyst is irrelevant. And that is why the core requirement, the core prerequisite for you to be certified as regards to this data analysis scholarship is by your level, by your projects, the project assignment, your attendance to class, and your capstone project. In the real world, I'm 99% sure that nobody employs a data analyst who can't analyze data. No, if you like, have the certificate from the best institution in the world, have the certificate from the best university in the world. If you can't analyze data, then no one employs you. If you can't analyze data, practically no one employs you. So while you get the certificate, focus on getting the skill, focus on mastering data analysis, focus on knowing how to analyze data effectively. And that is what the focus of this course is, to raise data analysts who can effectively and efficiently analyze data using the Microsoft Excel software. That is the focus of this course. All right. Now, having established that, and having a bit introduced myself, by next time I might give us a bit of rundown. Welcome once again to Introduction to Data Analysis. We are going to be taking this in the intro on 4 modules. This introduction will be handled on 4 modules. We will be handling it on four modules. First is the overview of data analysis. Second, importance of data analysis. We move to key concepts and terminologies, and then we talk about the data collections, how we go about collecting data, because as a data analyst, you need to collect data either as a secondary data or as a primary data. Let's quickly proceed to the overview of data analysis. Let's quickly proceed. What is data analysis? Definition of data analysis. Now, data analysis is a process. The first thing you need to understand, I'm going to be taking this 5B because we have a lot to cover this night. Data analysis is a process. Now, the word process means there is a pattern, there is a structure, there is a methodology to which we analyze data. You don't just wake up and begin to analyze data or begin to talk about trends. No, data analysis is a process of systematically, is something that has a system, a structure, a model operandi. They systematically collecting, organizing, interpreting, and presenting data. Please note this, one of most persons, some persons can enter data, some persons can collect data, some persons can organize data, and because of that, they call themselves data analysts. No. A full data analyst doesn't just stop at collecting data or entering data or organizing data. A full data analyst, what makes you a full data analyst is your ability to interpret and present your data in a meaningful pattern, so as to uncover insights, so as to uncover critical trends, so as to enhance decision making, so as to enhance innovation, so as to bring about creativity. So you are a full data analyst when you can interpret and present your data in a meaningful way, in a meaningful pattern. Hence, it involves applying statistical, mathematical. Now, the word statistical, there are different statistical tools. We are not talking about going fully deep into statistics. No. Basic statistical models, basic statistical tools, like the mean, the median, the average, the standard deviation. Those are applying statistical, mathematical. We begin to talk about basic mathematical operations, the Boolean algebras, basic of them, and then computational techniques, where you come to begin to use the computer softwares, different tools, like we are going to be using one of them, which is Microsoft Excel. We are going to be focusing in this scholarship. So computational techniques to raw data that doesn't have any meaning, that we haven't used before in its raw state, and convert it into actionable information. That's who a data analyst is. That's whom the organization wishes to employ. One who can take useless data, on raw data, unprocessed data, just random data, and turn it into actionable insights, and turn it into actionable informations that company can leverage on to make effective and efficient decisions. So a real data analyst should play a supporting role in innovation, in creativity, in decision making. So when company hire you, they don't just hire you to come and use Excel. No, they hire you to use Excel as a computational tool techniques to be able to bring their data into a format to which they can make decisions, to which they can make predictions, to which they can forecast. If you are just joining us, remember to drop your name, your scholarship ID. The first attendance for tonight's class is ongoing. If you are just joining us, remember to drop your name, your scholarship ID, your location. And if you are yet to subscribe, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button so you can interact with us live. Ask your question, answer questions live as we progress on this course. All right. Now, moving forward, let's get to understand that types of data analysis. Data analysis is summarized into 4 types. There are other types anyway in practice, but data analysis is summarized into 4 types. 4 types. The first is what most of us already have done in secondary school. We call it descriptive analysis. In secondary school, you did descriptive statistics. Now, in statistics is part of the data analysis. So we have descriptive analysis. Now, what is descriptive analysis? In a nutshell, it deals with analysis of things we can see, we can view, we can count. Some things that has to do, we can predict. Things that we can describe. That's the descriptive. You can describe the color. You can describe the number of items. You can talk about the highest occurring numbers in a particular number system. You can describe certain stuff. That's descriptive analysis. You use descriptive analysis to talk about majorly, to talk about historical data we have seen, not historical data, not a futuristic stuff, but historical data, past data that is with us, that we can see, we can touch, we can count, we can assess. That's what descriptive analysis is all about. That's what we define descriptive analysis to be. Then the next one is what we call inferential analysis. Inferential analysis. Now, under inferential analysis, is an analysis that deals with educated gaze. When we talk about inferential analysis, it's an analysis that deals with educated gaze. It makes inference. When we say inference, you are inferring on something based on certain understanding you have about that, but you are not sure, you are inferring. So inferential statistics, inferential analysis is an analysis that deals with educated gaze. However, before we progress, I forget to let us know about this. In descriptive analysis, there are two types of descriptive analysis. There are two types of descriptive analysis. Apologies for that, I forget to establish that, but it's something we already know. In descriptive analysis, there are two types of descriptive analysis. Number one, we have what we call measures of central tendencies. Measures of central tendency. And in the measures of central tendency, we are referring to mean median mode. That's basic statistics we know in secondary school, and sometimes in our year one in university, those basic statistics. That's measures of central tendency, mean median mode. Then the second type of descriptive analysis is what we call measures of spread or measures of dispersion. That's where we talk about the standard deviation, the range, and the variance. That's measures of spread. Now, having established that, we move also to inferential analysis. And like I said earlier, inferential analysis is analysis that deals with educated gaze. It's analysis, like the word inference. You are making an inference based on certain knowledge you have of the subject matter. A typical example of inferential analysis is a story we heard of Isaac Newton, that he was studying under a tree and an apple fell, or so a fruit fell from the tree. He was like, for this to fall downward, then there is a force acting in a position, acting downwards, that brought this tree down. That's an inference. He's making an inference to something he doesn't really know. But based on certain understanding, knowledge of the subject matter, he made that inference and then carry out a research and carry out analysis, a research. He did that, and then that becomes a law. So inferential analysis, that's where we have hypothesis. That's where most of us in research-based offices, in research-based careers, that's the aspect of analysis you are into. Inferential analysis, where you make hypothesis, you state your hypothesis, and then you test your hypothesis to see if that hypothesis is correct or not, to see if that hypothesis will stand or not. So in inferential statistics as well, or inferential analysis, we have two types of inferential analysis. We have the one we call test of hypothesis, or hypothetical testing. That's the first in inferential analysis. We have test of hypothesis or hypothetical testing. And then the number two under inferential analysis is what we call estimation of parameters. Estimation of parameters. So remember, we say this with educated guess. When you estimate, you are making estimation, you are not really sure, but you are making that estimation based on certain knowledge you have, based on certain understanding you have. So that's inferential analysis. And we have talked about the two types of inferential analysis: the test of hypothesis or hypothetical testing, and estimation of parameters. All right, let's proceed. The next is called predictive analysis. It's an analysis that will predict for the future, analysis that focuses on what happens in the future. So like using predictive models, analysis, we have data forecasting where you can forecast future sales. Let's say this month we are entering the month of November, and the company wants to forecast what their revenue rate should be by the month of November. They can make use of predictive analysis using data at their disposal, making use of the historical data they have to be able to predict what November revenue should be. And by that, they can make the decisions on the target to give the employees, on the target to give to the sales executives, to the sales reps. These are certain areas. You don't just wake up and give a target to sales rep without any data backing it up, unless you are just making a thing up in your head. But companies that work on data, companies that deal with data-driven decisions, that deals with data-driven decisions, they need to make that prediction based on the data available. So that's what we refer to predictive analysis. Then in predictive analysis, we make use of some models like Excel, like the Python, to make some predictive models like the machine learning, to make some to make some prediction and create on state predictive models. Then the next is prescriptive. Is prescriptive analysis, where you prescribe a solution based on the data available. Most of us, most medical professionals in the medical field, in the laboratory field, in the pharmaceutical field, and that the prescriptive analysis is mostly valid in that field. A doctor will look at the patient based on some certain symptoms, be able to prescribe a drug that will cure that disease. That's a prescriptive analysis in play, or in a nutshell. Now, having established that, let's proceed to the next we have on this night: objectives of data analysis. What are the key objectives of data analysis? Number one, to support decision making. To support in fact, this is one of the core objectives of data analysis. Number two, to predict outcomes. We have talked about the predictive analysis so as to predict outcomes, whether in sales, whether in forecasting, whether in what to predict outcomes. Then to validate hypothesis. Remember, I talked about the hypothesis earlier, to know whether the hypothesis is correct or not. We will be talking about that later tonight as we progress. Then to measure performance. To measure performance, we need data analysis to measure performance. How is our staff doing? How is the performance of our staff? How is the performance of the organization? What is our performance revenue? What are we doing? The KPIs, key performance indicators. We need data analysis to measure performance. All right. To drive innovation, data. Companies, industries, countries that takes data serious are countries that are innovation driven. That's why you see top tier countries like the US, the China, the Japan, the UKs, and all that. You see they don't joke with data. They don't joke with data. If you are with all these social media platforms, you will see before you are being given access, you will have to approve that the platform can use the information that comes around with it in order to improve their services. It is from that data conversion that is that data collection that YouTube came up with an innovation of YouTube Shorts, knowing fully well that people's attention span is slowing down. They now come up with that innovation of having YouTube Shorts. So those who like short information, sharp, can go and get on YouTube Shorts, go through short. Those who want detailed information, detailed explanation can watch long form videos, can be on live session like this. That's innovation. Why? Because it's from data they collected, people's behavior across the internet. They were able to come up with that innovation. So it drives innovation. Then the next, enhance data quality. You don't just go ahead and then use data anyhow. Analysis makes us to know we collect it effectively so that the data we have a uniform and robust representation, what we call effective data representation, in order to mitigate or reduce biasness in the result or the outcome. All right. The next is to identify patterns and trends. We have talked about that in the definition, to uncover patterns and trends so that we can be able to know. I always tell my students, those in the HR, my students, when I take them HR trainings, and then we talk about the job recruitment and all that, I let them know that in HR, in recruitment, in recruitment, there are seasons when demand for labor, when demand for skills are high. That's because we are able to uncover that pattern. It's a pattern. When you check across the year, there are months of the year that demand for labor, employers are looking for skilled employees. And I always tell my students, you see between from October ending, then November, December, January, these 3 months are the peak in the employee requirements. Employers needing skilled personnel, seeking for applicants who will come and fill in positions. Why? Because there are many factors that comes to that. In January, most startups are coming up, new branches are establishing, someone is retiring and someone is leaving his job to another job and all that. There are many factors that makes this to always be the same. So identifying patterns and trends, improve customer understanding, of course. We need data analysis to understand our customers, know their plight, know the time they always are available, the time they always buy them, know when to enhance our services, know when to bring in more hands in order to serve our customers better. So data analysis enhances customer understanding, identify risk and opportunities, and then that is the overview of data analysis. We are taking it a bit time. Please feel free to drop your question in the chat, in the live chat. We will be able to handle it. And at the same time, if you have any question, peradventure you have any question, you can do it to drop it. Let's quickly move to importance of data analysis. Importance of data analysis. All right. Importance of data analysis. The first importance of data analysis, the first is the role it plays in decision making. The role it plays in decision making is a very, very important aspect of data analysis because of its significant role it plays in data analysis. In decision making, rather, most organizations don't make decisions based on data. Most organizations, and that costs them a lot. Organizations that succeed in the business age, in the industrial, in this tech age, in this digital age, in this AI age, organizations that succeed are organizations that builds their decision on data. When we're talking about AI cannot be in place without data. In fact, the backbone of AI in economy, AI-driven economy and all that, the backbone is data. So data analysis, one of the core role it plays is in decision making. And what are the areas of this decision? Insights and all that, it plays their key roles. Where did there be informed decision, and then risk management, strategic planning. These are places it plays roles in decision making. When we are making strategic planning, performance measurement, data analysis is their customer insight to make decisions concerning our customers. We need data, effective data analysis on it, competitive advantage. To win the market, we need to analyze the market. And what are we analyzing in the market? That's data. When we talk about strategic management, it's summarized in one word: competitive advantage. To gain competitive advantage in the market, in the industry. And what enables us to get that competitive advantage is by the level of data available to us and how we are able to analyze it effectively and get decisions from it. Then the next is evidence-based decision. We cannot overemphasize on that. So overall, data analysis empowers decision makers with actionable insights, leading to more strategic, effective, and efficient outcomes. So one of the key roles is in decision making. That's key importance of data analysis. Next, we talked about its application in various industries. So as a data analyst, you should know that you are needed across every industry. As a data analyst, you are needed, you are an asset across industries. Why? Because data analysis can be applied across every industry. Data analysis can be applied across every industry. So what are these industries that data analysis can be applied? The first industry that we will be looking at is healthcare. In fact, currently in the 21st century, healthcare is now beginning to be more data-driven. Institutions research in terms of predictive models that will generate a model to predict a solution to a particular sickness, to a particular symptom. Healthcare's machine learning, Pythons, the Excel predictive models, the healthcare system now, especially in the developed world, are building models, predictive models, backed up with data-driven to predict solutions to certain diseases. So it's very, very available leverage on in the healthcare. Then in the finance sector, that cannot even be overemphasized. What is there in the finance is data. So to effectively manage it is applied in the finance sector. Retail, the data entry specialists, the inventory managers, the data forecastings, the sales reps, every of the retail chain requires a data analyst. Every of the retail chain, in the retail chain, requires a data analyst. Even in the supply chain, it requires a data analyst. In the purchase chain, those of us that study purchasing and supply, in the manufacturing chain, it requires data analysis. That's the next, the manufacturing chain. It requires data analysis. Then we talk about the education sector. A data educationist, you need to analyze, know the education model, a teaching strategy that is best for your students. That is best for your student. Do they learn best by example? Do they learn best by groups? Putting them in study groups, and that you should analyze and get to know the best learning structure and all that in the education industry. Then the next is the transport and logistics industry. Transport and logistics industry. Then the next sector is telecommunication. Then we have energy. We have entertainment and media. These are industries that data analysts can effectively fit in and provide efficient services. So as we are learning to become a data analyst, you are seeing diverse areas to which the skill is needed. Diverse industries to which the skills is needed. The oil and gas. I remember years back while being with an oil servicing firm that we analyze data, we analyze a result from the rig. When coil tubing, well working, well testing and all that, we analyze. So even in the oil and gas, data analysis is still needed. In the aviation industry, data analysis is still needed. Virtually no industries. So there is that's what makes it very important because of its application in the various industries. So in summary, data analysis drives improvement, efficiencies, and innovation across various industries, enabling organizations to make informed decisions, optimize operation, and better serve their customers. You might have learned that the blood or the brain or the life wire of every organization is the customer. So an organization needs to serve their customer effectively, and hence data analysis is highly needed. Let's quickly run benefits of data or benefit of effective data analysis. I know why I use the word effective. Benefits of effective data analysis. We have in benefit of effective data analysis, we have these benefits. It increases revenue and profitability. I'm not going to dwell much on this. Customer insight and satisfaction. It helps to make us understand our customer better and then help us to serve our customer effectively. And then in competitive advantage, getting competitive advantage, better financial management. To be a financial manager is not easy. We need data to better to manage our finance. What and what takes money away from our pocket? What and what brings money away from our brings money into our pocket? How can we increase the inflow and minimize the outflow? These are stuff in the cash flow analysis. All right. Then the next is enhanced productivity. Then we talk about improved quality and compliance, then strategic partnership and collaborations before. All right. Moving forward, we are going into the key concepts and terminology of data analysis. Remember, this night is in two phases. We introduce data analysis theoretically, and then we head straight to Microsoft Excel to begin the journey of becoming a data analyst using Microsoft Excel. Please still confirm, drop in the chat if you can hear me, if you can still see me, if you are following, type in the chat and following. If you are just joining, make sure you subscribe and then drop your name, your location, and your scholarship ID. That's the first attendance is still going on. The second attendance, I will announce it later. Those of us that have not yet dropped your attendance, the first attendance is on. We are taking record of it. So drop your name, your scholarship ID, your location. All right, let's quickly move to the key concept and terminologies. Key concept and terminology. The first key concept, the first terminology is what we refer to as data types. Data types. Now, in data types, we have it to be summarized into two. We summarize data types into two. The first one is qualitative data. Qualitative data. Normally, mostly, what is qualitative data? Primarily, we refer to it as non-numeric data. Non-numeric data. It can be descriptive, it can be categorical, it can be ordinal, it can be nominal, it can be visual. You know, when I teach students SPSS, which is a data analytics tools, especially for research, we explain these things because in SPSS, when you are entering data, you need to define what variable that data is. What kind of variable it is. Is it a categorical variable? Is it an ordinal? Is it nominal? You need to. Is it scale? You need to define it. However, in data types, in analysis, is primarily non-numeric data. Non-numeric data is used to create more understanding, explain. When you are explaining your data, writing report, explaining it, writing insights, is just non-numerical. It's qualitative. You are qualifying that data. You are expanding that data the more. That's in that on the qualitative data. Then the next is what we call quantitative data, which is the opposite of qualitative data. like we can see there is primarily numeric data. Is primarily numeric data. Is used to quantify, while qualitative is used to explain, expatiate, explain, expatiate the data behaviors, the data itself, whereas quantitative is used to quantify. When we say quantify, it has to be with numbers. It has to be with numbers to quantify the behaviors, the characteristics, the phenomena, while this is used to explain, expatiate, that's qualitative. So in quantitative, we have discrete, we have continuous, we have interval, ratio, ordinal, financial, etc. So these are examples of quantitative data. These are examples of quantitative data. Now, why are we explaining this? Because as a data analyst, you need to have this basic understanding. You need to have this basic knowledge. Some of you that met me physically were asking me, Mr. Franklin, I don't have knowledge of data analysis. I didn't even, I'm an art student and all that. I didn't even do this. And how will I cope? Will I understand it very well also? And I told you guys, those that asked me, I said, we are going to start from the scratch. And that's why we're explaining these basic terminologies, this basic concept, this basic stuff, so that you have this understanding as a data analyst. I have been in interviews and I have asked someone a simple question. I asked the person, what is Microsoft Excel? The person was shocked. What is Microsoft Excel? You might be in an interview and they ask you, what are data types? You're a data analyst, can you tell us data types? What are data types? That is it here. Qualitative data. They are primarily non-numeric data that explains or describes the data in question, where quantitative data is primarily numeric data used to quantify the data in question. That is a simple explanation of what we have talked about. Okay, let's proceed. We now in this we're talking about variables. We are talking about data types. We are going to be talking about variables. What are variables? Variable in data, we have variables and we have constants. We have variables, we have constant. For example, a gender is a variable. Gender is a variable. It has two outcomes that I know of. I don't want to talk about the ones now that is gender that I know of. It has two variables, two outcomes, male or female. So what's a variable? Now, a variable are stuff that has more than one outcomes. A variable is not constant. A constant just have one outcome. One, like acceleration due to gravity, G, is a constant, is like that everywhere. But gender changes. Variables are something that can vary. Excuse me. Variables are like the word variables are something that can vary. In other words, it has more than one outcome. There can be a possible outcome to it. That's why a die is a variable. It has 6 outcomes. When we talk about your age is a variable. There are different outcomes of age. So variables are stuff that have different that have more than one outcome. It varies. Now, what are types of variables? We grouped it into 2 major types. As data analysts, you are going to be working with 2 major types of variables. Major types, there are other ones, but in analysis, it's 2 major types of variables. The first is the one you are seeing right there on your screen. Independent variable. What's an independent variable? Independent variable is a variable that doesn't need another variable to perform. Let me use that as an illustration. I repeat, independent variable is a data variable that doesn't require any other variable to perform. I'm using that as an illustration. So what did we state here? Is said the variable that is manipulated or categorized to observe its effect on another. So in fact, the independent variable is a variable that is even acting on another variable, that is impacting the outcome of another variable. For example, if we talk about student performance, the student performance depends on certain factors, certain variables. So those variables that impact the performance of the student are independent. For example, like we have here in a study examining the effect of study time on test score. Now look at this, study time on test score. Study time is independent. If the student let him not study. If he let him study. If he let him study 10 minutes, and the other person studied 1 hour, another person studied 2 hours, another person studied 8 hours. We are going to check what is the effect of this study time on their test score. So what that is saying is that this test score is depending based on this research, based on this analysis. This test score as a variable is depending on the study time. Here, the study time is independent. I need us to understand it, because as we go into analysis, even in Excel, talking about establishing data models and then predictive models and the likes, and begin to talk about the regression analysis and correlation analysis, we will be talking more on the dependent and independent. So we need to establish this fact here tonight. So independent variables are the variables that are having effect on the another variable, or is acting upon another variable, and itself is not affected. All right. Now the next is dependent variable. Dependent variable. In other words, the word depend means is depending, the outcome, the result of that variable depends on another variable. So it's a variable that is measured or observed to assess the effect of the independent variable. So what effect does the independent variable has on it? Is it that the independent variable doesn't have any significant effect? We are going to be talking about level of significance very soon. So it is often the effect or the output in an experiment or study. The output, that's the dependent variable. In the study time, the test score are the dependent variable. So the test scores are the dependent variables. All right. Now, the next other variables we can, those of us in the software development and all that, we can understand what control variable is. You look at the confounding variables, moderating variables, mediating variable, dummy variable, variable distributions, and the likes. These are other variables that we have. But in analysis, we focus on these two variables, independent variable and dependent variables. All right, let's proceed. Now, we will be looking at population and samples. These are key terms and terminologies. These are key terms and concepts in data analysis. As a data analyst, you must understand what a population is, and you must know what a sample is. When we talk about the sample statistics, you need to understand what we are talking about. What's a sample? What's a population rather? The entire set of individuals or items that is subject to the study. Excuse me. A population is the entire data, the entire set. Like in set theory, like what we call the universal set. In the set theory, we call it universal set. Population is the entire set of individuals or items that is the subject of study. If we are conducting a study on catfish, if we are conducting a study on catfish, to know the effect of rainy season, or to know the effect of weather on catfish growth, for example, the population is all the catfish we have. The population is all the catfish we have in our farm. That's the population as regards to our farm. So population is the entire set or item of the study, of the subject of study. Every possible member, whether it fits criteria or not, every possible member, that's a population. Example, all the students in a particular school is the population of that school. All the students in a particular school is the population of that school. Every car manufactured by a specific company in that year is the number of population of cars they manufactured for the year. So that's the population. Then the next is what we call the characteristics of a population, Population, what are the key characteristics of population? It's complete. Population doesn't vary, it's complete, it's fixed. If we have 1,000 catfish in our farm, that's what we have, is fixed. At that moment, at that point of analysis, it is fixed and is complete. Then the next we will be looking at is the sample. A sample is a subset of the population. It's a subset. When we select from the population a particular number of the population, we select a particular number from the population, that makes it a sample. And please, I need to state this. Please note, most times in analysis, we don't run analysis on the population, we run analysis on the sample. It is more practical to run analysis on sample, using the sample, than using the population. It's more visible, it's more practical. All right. Now, it's a subset of the population, that's the sample. It's used to represent, that's when, for example, a typical example of a sample is if we are talking about the political terrain, in the Senate, each state has three persons representing the state. So if we want to count the states in the Senate, we count those three persons. They are the sample of the population of the state. In the House of Reps, we count a particular number from that particular state. They are like a sample of that state. And using a political aspect as an example, or you want to run analysis on the academic performance of the school, you can go to each classes and pick students from each classes and test them and know the academic performance of the school. So that is what a sample is. That what are the characteristics is representative and is practical. In other words, it's something that we can practicalize, it's something that is feasible for us to check. It's feasible for us to check. All right, now types of sampling. We have random sampling, we have stratified sampling, we have systematic sampling, and we have quota sampling. Random, when you pick from a pocket of, when you pick numbers at random, that's random sampling. Like they use, those of us that watch football, like they used to fix matches and teams to face each other in a particular, in the semi-final, in the quarter-final, in the second round, and all that. Random picking, that's random sampling. Stratified, systematic, and all that. Okay, let's quickly proceed. We have a lot to cover this night. We have statistical significance. Now, what is statistical significance? It indicates whether a result observed in a study are unlikely to have occurrence or have random occurrence. Now, please, I need to establish this. This is In research, this is a very important aspect. Those of us that both in research, both in predictive models and all that, we need to understand statistical significance. That's in the level of significance, statistical significance. Now, what this is place where analysts base certain decision on. These are thresholds for decision making. A statistical significance is that when we talk about the standard significance, standard statistical significance, that is where a data analyst will base his decision making on, based on the result and comparing it with the standard level of significance. The analyst can decide to say, no, this result is by random occurrence. So in other words, it's not statistically significant. Or no, this result is not just something, it's not a fluke. It's not something that happened by chance. It's something that we should pay attention to. Hence, we can say it has statistical significance. That's what statistical significance is all about. It helps us to determine whether a particular result, a particular outcome, a particular output occurred by a random chance or it is something very valid for us to look into. So if result is statistically significant, it suggests that the effect or relationship observed in the data is likely real and not just a fluke. It's something very real, it's something tangible. It's not something that we cannot trust, we cannot base our decision on it. This is based on random chance. We can't base our decision on this. It's not something tangible we can rely on. That's the statistical significance. So after that, we'll now move to types of hypothesis. Hypothesis is all about making a claim, stating a claim, making a statement, making an educated based work. You state a claim, you state an argument, so we need to conduct analysis to check whether that claim is valid. And in that claim, there are two kinds of claims you make in analysis. And as an analyst, you start from the null hypothesis, the null claim, the null assumption, the assumption that there is no effect, there is no significant effect, there is no significant impact, there is no significant interaction, there is no significant relationship, there is no significant difference between a particular subject or object or data or variable in question to another. That's null hypothesis. Null hypothesis, which we represent with H naught, comes from the angle that there is no significant effect. Please put that word significant. There might be an effect, but that effect is not significant enough for us to pay attention to it. It's something that can happen by a chance. It's just a fluke. So it's a default assumption. Analyst starts from null hypothesis. It's a default assumption by every analyst that there is no effect, there is no relationship, there is no difference, there is no difference, there is no significant difference between two groups of variables. That's no hypothesis. So example, if you are studying the effect of a new drug, no hypothesis is saying that no hypothesis might that be that the drug has no effect on the patient recovery. The no hypothesis is saying this drug doesn't have any significant effect in the recovery of the patient. It doesn't have any significant effect. That's what no hypothesis is saying. So we will now run analysis to check whether that claim, this default assumption, is valid. We run analysis to check if it's valid. If it's valid, then we proceed. If we discard it, if it's not valid, then we accept the alternate hypothesis. Alternate hypothesis is saying that there is significant effect, there is significant difference. That's the alternate hypothesis. And when we proceed in analysis, we are going to be making use of these things. All right, these are key concepts and terminologies. Now let's quickly move to data collection. Let's quickly move to data collection. Now in data collection, we will be looking at sources of data. What are sources to which we get our data? From data collection, what are the sources where we get our data from? Is divided or categorized into two. Sources of data is categorized into two. The first is what we refer to as the primary source. Primary source is the source of the primary data. Now in data, in kinds of data, we have category of data types, and we have kinds of data or types of data. Kinds of data, we have primary data. Primary data refers to data that has not been used for any purpose before. That's primary data. It's a data that has not been used for any purpose before. So the source of the primary data becomes our primary source. Then we have secondary data, which is data that has been used for another purpose. So the source of the secondary data becomes our secondary source. And there are different secondary sources of data, the internet, the database, and the like, social media now, those that are called web scraping and all that. These are secondary sources. Okay, now the next we move to, as we progress in this introduction, is data collection method. What are different methods of collecting data? I'm going to run through them because very soon I want us to get into the Excel proper. Very soon I want us to get into the Excel. Okay, now I'm going to run through it. The first is survey questionnaire, which most of us in our project, in school, in our research work, we do surveys, and then questionnaires, distribute questionnaires, do surveys. Then interview is a method of data collection. We have focus group is a method of focus group interviews. These are methods of data collection. Also, we have experiments. It's a method of data collection. Case studies is also method of data collection. We also have document analysis. Document analysis, where you analyze the document to get insight from it, is also that, like I thought, web scraping is also a data collection method. And then we have online tracking, like those you see some websites, some online platform making use of cookies to track your behavior. Making use of cookies to track your behavior on the internet. So that's online tracking. All right. Now, having talked about that, we will proceed to the ethical consideration in data collection. Ethical consideration in data collection. What are the things you need to put into consideration? Ethically wise, you need to put into consideration when collecting data, because there are laws, data protection laws. There are ethical behaviors in data collection. These are things you need to put into consideration. There are ethical laws, there are ethical behaviors, there are ethical structures, ethical models, ethical practices you need to understand when collecting data. Especially if you are working with multinationals, NGOs, who do research, or WHO, UNICEF, that are more and more on research. So that's on the ethical consideration in data collection. All right, let's proceed. The ethical consideration in data collections are crucial to ensure data integrity in research. To ensure data integrity of the research process, and then to protect the rights and well-being of participants, those that they are getting the information from. They have their rights. their data, their information should not be in the public space for everybody to know, to see, unless they give that approval. All right, so let's see some of those key ethical considerations you have to keep in mind. Let's see them. We have to get the consent of the participants or the respondents. That is, we have to get their consents. We have to get their consents. Very important. Also, privacy and confidentiality. Privacy and confidentiality, those information should be private and confidential unless the person approves it to be in the public space. Then respect for persons, culture, beliefs. You need to respect them. Elderly persons, you have respect for elderly persons, and then show respect. That's just respect for persons, whether an adult and a young person, a child, their belief, their orientations, their culture, their religious belief. Respect for persons. Then also in a digital or online stuff, you need to get their consent. That's why when a research form is being sent, the person has to tick or has to sign or has to approve that yes, he is giving consent for this information he is providing to be used for the purpose of the research. We need to get that digital consent. This is part of the data protection or the data privacy policies internationally practiced. Data use and sharing protection rights. We need to know how the data we are collecting, what we are going to use it for, and how to share it. That's also in the privacy and confidentiality aspect. All right, the next is compliance with legal and institutional requirements. Very important. Each country, each state, each region has their legal requirements, has their institutional requirements. So you need to comply with it. If you are in Africa, you are in Europe, you are in the Asias, you are in the Oceanias, you need to know the legal and institutional requirements as regards to data collection. There are places you don't call, there are some certain data, there are some certain legal requirements you need to fill up before you can be able to collect data use. Then transparency and accountability. Transparency and accountability is also another ethical requirement. Then special consideration for vulnerable populations. These are all right. What can we see? Let's proceed. So I want to confirm that we are all on the same page. Let me know what you can see right there on your screen. Let me know what you can see right on your screen as let me know so that we proceed. I'm seeing a few persons talking about network. From my end, this stable anyway is fluctuating a little, but not that much. All right, beautiful, Lawal. You see an Excel page. An Excel page. Beautiful, beautiful. So let's proceed. Now, when you get into Excel, you install your Microsoft Excel and then you open your Excel for the first time. You are mostly going to see this interface. You are mostly going to see this interface. And when you see this interface, you'll be getting to see the whole new open accounts and option. Now, if you want to know the version of Excel that you are using, you go to Accounts. Now I'm using Microsoft Office 2021, as you can see it here. Confirm if you can hear me, please. Can you hear me now? Beautiful, Lubawa. Thank you so much. All right. Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, I see that. I can hear you now, just now. Okay, beautiful, everyone. Okay, now I was explaining, let me rush through it. When you open Excel, mostly you come here to change to this dark gray. You go to your account. Normally it might be white. Then you come over to this place, your office team. You change to dark gray or black, white, or colorful, whatever. Being that this is night, I will move it to this. And also you see the version of Office you are working or you are installed, that was installed on your PC. There you have access to Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Outlook, OneNote, and the likes. So let's get back to this place. And I was saying that recent document shows the recent Excel documents you have opened previously, and it gives you 10 most recent. And here in favorite, it gives you the document you put in as favorite. And why this is very important or very good is that anything you put to favorite will be there. Anytime you open your Excel, it will be there. So if there are documents you work so often, work with every time, you can put them to start so that you don't need to be searching them where they are in your PC. You just open Excel, come to favorite. If you need to work on them, then you click on it. That's favorite. For example, let's say I want to add this Excel entry form automation template to favorite. I will just come to this star here. When I come here, I will click on it. Simple. Automatically, if I go to my favorite, it will see it here. And it says entry form automation template. So that automatically is now added. If I close this Excel, open it anytime, any day, it will still be part of my favorite. All right. Also in Excel, you have access to different templates. You can Gantt chart, those of us in project management, the Gantt chart, other templates you can get access to. You are talking about monthly budget, business invoices, all that. You are a HR, a principal, or a student, inventory needs different templates. But as a data analyst, you are mostly going to be working from a fresh page, a fresh book. That's why we are going to get into this, to go to blank workbook. So to get into the Excel interface proper, we click on blank workbook. So here, as we are seeing here, is the Excel interface. And this is Excel workbook. What you are seeing here, everything here you are seeing is referred to as Excel workbook. I'm going to be teaching this as if you are someone that haven't heard of Excel before. You are hearing it for the first time. That's how I'm going to be teaching this from now on as we progress. We are going to be teaching from the exact scratch. So this is Excel workbook. Is something we can call Excel workbook. So workbook, in Excel workbook, that's what we call this Excel workbook. It comprises both the title bar, the tabs, the ribbons, all these, and the sheet. That's what comprises the makeup of Excel workbook. So in the Excel workbook, when you open it, Excel, you see it's called book 1. This book 1 is the name of this book. Is the name of this book. For example, when you have your book, you call it exercise book, or you call it textbook, or whatever. So book 1 is the name of this book. Hence, when you save this document, this Excel document with a particular name, it will no longer bear the name book 1, it will not bear the name you give it. A typical example, when you want this birth, the person, this baby is fine, it's called a child. Later it will no longer be this baby, it will, that baby will have a name. So as time goes on, as we put this grows, and that's the name it will be called. It will no longer be this child or so. If you call him this child, he will tell you I have a name. So likewise here, it's like it is, book 1. Later you name it whatever, that's the name that document will bear. Now in Excel, as it relates to other Microsoft Office applications, Excel is a spreadsheet application. When you are asked, what is Microsoft Excel? Or when you are asked, define Excel, Excel is defined simple as a spreadsheet application used for data entry management, transformation analysis, database, and reporting. That's what Excel is. So when you are asked what is Excel, what kind of software is Excel, what kind of application is, it's a spreadsheet application. What is it used for? It's used for data management, data entry, data cleaning, data analysis, visualization, and reporting. That's what it's used for. So it's the simple definition of Microsoft Excel. And when we open Excel, like other Office applications, it has the title bar. Now the title bar, on the title bar we have the quick access toolbar, which I might be explaining in our next section. Then we have the search bar, the search button or the search bar. If you are using Office 2019, if you are using Office 2016, you will have access to this. Then you have the minimize, you have the restore, you have the close. Beneath the title bar is what we call the tabs. Beneath the title bar is what we call the tabs. This is the tab bar where we have the tabs. Now this is called the file tab, the home tab, insert tab, and so on. So the tabs, each tab has what we call ribbons. Each tab has what we call ribbon. Now this is what you are seeing here is the home ribbon. If this what we are seeing here, the clipboard, the font, alignment, and that is called, they are all called ribbon. and this is the home ribbon. And what is ribbon? Ribbon is what displays the function of each tab. In the home tab, these are the functions of the home tab. If I go to insert, these are the functions of the insert tab. And that's what we can call the insert ribbon. Now, ribbon comes as an upgrade to menu. If you are using Office 27, I think so, Office 27 or Office 2003, I think Office 2003 or so, when you click on home, you will see something like this, a menu that will be like this. And when you click on any option, it disappears. That was how it was before, and it was consuming a lot of time and energy. And that's what makes the developers to bring this ribbon, which will be there when you go to home, you see the functions. When you go to draw, you see it and all that. Now, beneath the ribbons are these two stuffs we have. This, we call it the name box. That's what you see here, the name box. What is name box? Name box displays, shows us the name of the active cell. I'm going to be explaining active cell in a moment. The name of the active cell, like you can see here, is showing F6, which shows that this cell, which is the active cell, is under column 7 F and row 6, which we are getting to. Or if you don't call it name box, you can also call it the cell address. The cell address. Cell address. That's also that. Then here we call it the formula bar. Formula bar is where we edit our formulas, enter formulas, and also it displays whatever is in the active cell. It also displays whatever that is in the active cell. For now, there is nothing here. But if I click on this, it shows ribbon. That's what is in the active cell. So that's the formula bar. Then beneath the formula bar is what we have, the ABC. The ABC are referred to be columns. In Microsoft Excel, we call it columns. I think that's the spelling. Yes, that should be columns. That's the columns. The columns are what we refer to as A, B, C, and so on. That's what we call columns, A, B, C. These are columns, while numbers 1, 2, 3 are what we refer to as rows. So what makes Excel a spreadsheet is because it has columns and rows. If you are asked, why do we call Excel a spreadsheet application? The reason is simple. Is because it has columns and rows. It makes up of columns and rows that brought about different cells. So a cell is a combination of column and rows. That's what makes a cell. As you can see, each of these boxes, each of these rectangular boxes are what we refer to as cells. We call them cells. Each of these rectangular boxes are what we refer to as cells. In Excel, we have over 1 million cells. Now, in columns, we have over 200,000 columns. And in rows, we have over 1 million rows in Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Then, having explained this, we'll come over to this. This is the sheet name. We are currently in sheet 1. The plus sign here is the sign is where we can add another sheet. Let's say we have worked on this sheet, we need a new sheet. We come over to this and click on it. It gives us sheet 2. Then we have this to be the navigation bar. We can move forward, we can move backward. And this we have to be also the navigation bar where we can move vertically upward or downward. I'm explaining the Excel interface. Then, having explained that, we can come over to this. We can also rename our sheet. Sheet 1, let's say we are working on monthly reports. We can call this January, for example. That's the name. When we say double clicking, is in quick succession. So if I double click here now, you see it shows me that now I can edit. I can type this February. Then I can add another one here. If I want to rename this, another way I can do it is to right click on that sheet. This sheet is the one that is active. We call this the active sheet. The active sheet here now is sheet 3. So when you right click, you will see the option called rename. So you click on it and then you can type the next month, for example, March. Now another thing you can do to your sheets, the active sheets, is to give them a color code. What do we call color code? Is that you can use color to differentiate each of the sheets. So how do you do that? You come here, right click, go to tab color, and then let's say I'm starting with this. I select this purple, come over to this tab color, go to tab color, I select this blue, come over to this, go to tab color, I select this blue as well. So if I come here, we see they have their color code. That is on the tab. Now, having explained this interface, now this is what we call the active cell. Whatever, anywhere you have so many cells, but we have one active cell per time in Microsoft Excel. We have one active cell per time in Microsoft Excel. And what is an active cell? An active cell is that cell that allows us to input data into our spreadsheet. Is the cell that is the active cell is the cell that allows us to input data in the Microsoft Excel spreadsheet. Now once it's here, what the name of this cell, the name of this active cell is saying J7. Is the cell that I can enter anything I want to enter now. So let's say, for example, if I want to type here, I will not come and hover my cursor here while this place is active. I just need to come and click here so that I will make this place active. So as to type active cell. So this is an overview of Excel interface. This is what we refer to as overview of Excel interface. Now moving forward, even from the little time we have before we wrap up this section this night, let's look at some basic Excel tricks. Let's look at some basic Excel tricks. Now, the first tricks I'm going to be talking about this night is look at what we typed. I typed workbook and it's spilled over the next cell, which is the column F. I typed column ABC, is spilled over to column F and even spilled over to column G. Now someone might ask, how do we put them inside to be, how do we make them to be inside the cell column E? This is the column E. How do we make them to be inside the cell column E? To do that, there are different ways to which we can achieve it. The first is we can do what we call manual fitting. Manual fitting. What we can call manual fitting. So To do that, I will come between, there is a line separating column E and column F. So that line, I will hover my mouse or my cursor on it, you will see this arrow pointing forward and backward while maintaining a cross format. We see an arrow pointing forward and backward and then with a cross format. So once it's like that, you click, hold, and drag. Now you can drag it to anywhere you like. That's why we call it manual fitting. For example, if I release it here now, this is how it will be. So you now see that this is now column E on a very huge scale, which is not okay for our spreadsheet. All right, if I want to bring it back, I can also bring it back like this. So that is one way. We can say, okay, we leave it here like this, is okay on all that. That is one way, manual fit, and that is for newbies. That is for newbies. In fact, I don't even, this for newbies. There are some cases where you might use it, but in a situation like this, there is another thing you can do. So the next thing which I always advise students and that to do is the auto fit. To use the auto fit. Now what's the auto fit? Come in between the line separating column E and F, or if it's in another column, come there, you double click. Double click in quick succession. Double click in quick succession. So if I double click, you see automatically it gives it the auto fit, the exact fit that it requires. And the exact fit it takes is the one that has the longest entry in that column. That's the fit it takes, the one that has the longest entry in that particular column. So that's the one of auto fit. And here, let's say I want to, this particular one, put it, there is what we call wrap test. I'm going to do that, use that so fast. Here I want to wrap it. This I will come over to, let's take for example, we have it here. I want to make this to be inside this particular test. So I will click on this and go to this option here. We call it wrap tests. So if I click on it, you see it breaks this down and bring it to the next line. If I click on this as well and click wrap test, it does the same thing. So if I click on this, do wrap test, you see it does the wrap test all for every of them, the ones that are spilling over to the next one. So that's what we refer to as wrap test. If we don't want to expand it, if we want the length to remain the same, but let it break to another line, we use that wrap test to achieve that as well. That's a basic concept, a basic exact trick, the first in this section this night. All right, to wrap up the section, I'm going to be introducing us to another trick. Let me press Ctrl Z. We are going to be learning exact keyboard shortcuts. Now, next I want to move everything to this place. Next, I want to move all this to the column E, to column A. What do? I click on this place and drag. That's to highlight. I click on it, drag to highlight. Instead of saying Ctrl X and Ctrl V or so, cutting and pasting, I can come to the outline. You see this thick outline that shows that I have highlighted this range of cells. I can come here. Once it shows me this kind of star arrow, this kind of star stuff, I click hold and then drag it to where I want it. Anywhere I want it to be. If I want it to be here, if I want it to be here, I leave it. I have moved it from this place to this place. That's one of that. Then let's take, for example, we are preparing a weekly report. And in the weekly report, week 1, you need to put it in days. You need to put it in days. Now, what most of us do in basic terms is we come and type Monday, and then press Tab button to move to the next cell and type Tuesday. Of course, this is going to take your productive time, and sometimes you might make mistake in typing the keys. The only thing, what you just need to do is when you type Monday, you don't need any to type Tuesday, Wednesday. Just come to this. There is a tick box here. There is a square box here. We call it the autofill handle. That small box here, tick box here, as you can see. Let me zoom in so that we see it very well. This tick box here, we call it autofill handle. We call it autofill handle. That's what we call it. Each cell, each active cell has autofill handle. Each active cell has it. So when we do that, we come over to this. You see, once you hover on it, if you hover on the outline, it shows you something like star arrow. But if you come here, it shows you a tick cross or a tick plus sign. A tick plus sign. So when you click on it, hold and drag, Excel will automatically fill the rest. From Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Sunday. Automatically does it. You don't need to type it. Within seconds, you are done doing this, entering the days of the week. And let's say, for example, the management comes and says, no, we don't want it in full, just in abbreviation is okay for us. What do? You can come here and type, month, just like that, and then automatically drag. Excel recognizes that as well. It fills the rest for us. Also, if let's say this is a weekly report, under monthly reports, this month of January, this is what we did in the month of January for week 1. We see January, let's say here we have week 1. We have week 1 here, for example. Let's say we have week 1 here, for example, and then week 2. Here we need to have January, February, March, April. The same way, you don't need to be typing January, February, March. All you just need to do is to type Jan. Let's take, for example, the management is using short form. Then you come over to the autofill. Once you come to that tick square or that tick block sign there, and you see this tick plus sign, hold it, click, hold it, and drag down. Let's say we are looking for a half-year report, and we release it. It does it from January to June. That's a half-year report. It does that for us. Now let's take, for example, and let's say we are rounding up now. We are rounding up. After this, we will end this section this night, and then we will announce the next class in our group. All right. Let's say I need this to be here, for example, and then close it a bit. Now, there is something I want to show us. If peradventure you know in a month of January, let's say this is week 1, let's say we have to get week 1, week 2, week 3, we can come over to this place, highlight this. Watch me, I'm going to end with this. We don't need to come over to this and come over and type week 1 again, week 2, and then come here, copy this and paste. No, The only thing you just need to do is to come over to this place, highlight this. Now, once you highlight it, remember you highlight both the column for both the row for week 1 and the row for days of the week. Then come to the autofill handle again as well. Come to the autofill handle as well and drag. Now it gives you up to week 7. So we will stop at week 4. So when we move back, we stop at week 4. Now you can see automatically we have generated our days of the week and weeks. You see it week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4 automatically without wasting time. So we can enter our details. The total sale, the summary of sales we made on Monday can be entered. The summary of sales on Tuesday for January. We do that all through the end of January, then the same all through the month of February and all that. And that we can analyze our data. And ladies and gentlemen, this is where we will wrap up with the basic Excel introduction. In our next class, we will begin with some basic Excel functionalities and other stuff. It's at this moment we will take our last attendance for tonight's section. Your name, your scholarship ID. Your name and your scholarship ID, your location. That is the last attendance for tonight, especially for those of us in the scholarship. Your name, your scholarship ID, your location, that much appreciated. And then let me get the feedback this night. Let me get the feedback this night. How is the section this night? How is tonight's section? What and what did you learn? What and what did you learn? Let me get that feedback. How is the section this night? Drop it in the live chat. What and what did you learn? And how is the section we just witnessed? Give me my flowers. If I did well, you let me know that I did well. If there is need for improvement, you tell me the area for improvement. That is always welcome. In that way, it helps us to improve our quality delivery on to our students. So we welcome our reviews. Let's review tonight's section and then let me know how is the section this night. All right, Lawal says the section is really a wonderful one. Thank you. But the audio is not really clear, sir. All right, we will look at that. We will look at that and rectify it. All right, Blessing said you did well, sir. Just network issues. Okay. Network, we don't really have challenge over network. Remember to drop your attendance, your name, your scholarship ID, your location. And give me the review for tonight's section. How is the section this night? What and what did you learn? And how you rate the section? Is it amazing? Is it wonderful? Did you learn stuff? What and what did you learn? How is the section tonight? That helps us to improve our delivery to our students. We welcome reviews from our students. Your name, your scholarship ID, your location. Remember that, very important. And also remember to drop your review of tonight's section. Very important. Every day we take a class, we take reviews of that particular class and see how well it is. All right. I'm in the chat. I'm seeing our responses and all that. You did well, sir. The section is wonderful. Beautiful. Thank you. The session was very impactful. Thank you, everyone. All right, it is on this note. All right, the section, to be honest, was very good and it was detailed. Thank you, Solomon. Thank you. It's been a wonderful lesson. I learned about auto fee handle. Beautiful. Thank you for that. Feedback, Afalabi. Thank you for that feedback. And our attendance is quite noted, those of us on the live now. Thank you, sir. You did well, but you kind of fast. Okay, Mary said I'm kind of fast. All right, I understand. I understand. Thank you for that suggestion, that pointing of that to us as well. I will work on that. Lawa said I learned about auto fee handle, auto feed, sales name, and all that. Beautiful, guys. Good to know that we learned things this night. Beautiful. Tonight's section was good. The teaching was straightforward and simple to understand. Thank you, Victory. Thank you, Victory. We promise to make it simple. But I need to state some things here from experience we have in cohort 1 and cohort 2. As we progress, as we climb the ladder of Excel, it must not really, it won't be all that simple. But one thing I promise is that I'm going to make it also to be easy to understand. I'm going to be breaking down every complex details into the simplest form for us to understand it. But note, as we progress, it will keep on getting a bit harder. All right. I learned something. Thank you, Michael. Dorcas, it was really impactful. You are a very good teacher. Put this one step at a time. Thank you, guys. All right, an impactful section. Good to have that. That is a very encouragement for us. Okay, our next section will be announced in the group. Remember, tonight is just the introduction. The section starts properly. Our classes are Mondays and Wednesdays. Our classes are Mondays and Wednesdays. But because of the intro this night, we won't be having class tomorrow. We will be starting fully Wednesday. We will be starting fully on Wednesday. For those of us in the live, I will also announce it in the group. We will be starting fully Wednesday. And also note, for a watch, for a cap, the session is also available anytime, any day. You can rewatch it to master anything that is difficult for you. Yes, someone say, can we replay? Very, very valid. That's what I'm about to address now. You can watch it anytime, any day. You can replay to get more understanding, to get more mastery as regards to what we have. Maybe during your practice time, something become a bit difficult, you forget something, you come to the channel and then or click on the link in the group. It will direct you straight to this section, and then you can replay it and rewatch it. The replay link will be dropped to the group tomorrow. All right, that's on that. And it's on this note we will be wrapping up the section this night. I want to appreciate all of us that joined the section this night. It was amazing having us on this live. Thank you, and do enjoy your night rest.